How do we love our heroes and still hold them accountable? Hi there, I'm Chris with a K, and welcome back to This Week in Queer History, where we find hope-filled, inspirational, and strategic moments from queer history that we can use today. This week, we're going back to April 30th, 1997, the night Ellen DeGeneres leaned into a microphone and accidentally, not so accidentally, broadcast the words, "I'm gay" to an entire airport terminal, but also 42 million people who were watching that night. It changed television, it changed America, and it changed me. But the full story? It's a messier one than you think, and it's one that we need to talk about, honestly.
This week in queer history, stories told with love and glee.
Okay, so before Ellen DeGeneres became an icon and then a divisive topic, she was funny. She was born in 1958 in Metairie, Louisiana, and she worked her way through comedy clubs in the early 1980s. But she was also waitressing, selling vacuum cleaners, doing whatever she had to pay the bills while she built her comedy act. Her comedy was observational, warm, and a little weird in the best way. She found the little things in everyday life that were funny and people loved her for it. In 1984, Showtime named her the funniest person in America, and by 1986, she was on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And after her set, Carson did something he almost never did. He invited her to sit on the couch. She was the first female comedian to get that invitation after a debut performance. That was Ellen DeGeneres. She was becoming the comedian to watch. And then in 1994, ABC gave her a sitcom, Ellen, which was originally called These Friends of Mine, which thank God they didn't go with that. But it starred Ellen DeGeneres as Ellen Morgan, who was a neurotic bookstore owner navigating life with her friends in Los Angeles. It was light, it was breezy, it was like a female Seinfeld. But by season 3, the show was without direction. Ellen Morgan had no romantic arc, and every attempt to give her a boyfriend, it just didn't work. Disney executive Michael Eisner helpfully suggested that since Ellen showed no interest in dating, maybe she should get a puppy. And that suggestion, that's how the most important coming out episode in television history got its code name. In the summer of 1996, DeGeneres and her writers went to ABC and Disney with a pitch that was both obvious and terrifying. Let Ellen Morgan come out as a lesbian. And to understand why this felt so impossible, you have to remember where America was at the time. President Clinton had just signed the Defense of Marriage Act, DOMA. 68% of Americans oppose same-sex marriage. You could be fired for being gay in most states, and on television, queer characters existed, but only as a punchline, or the quirky sidekick, or even worse, a tragic figure. They were never the lead. Oh, and definitely not the one the show was named after. But Disney rejected the first draft of the script, not because it went too far, but because it didn't go far enough. Executive Dean Valentine told the team, if we're gonna do it, let's do it. And suddenly it was really happening. But word leaked to the press in September 1996, and the media circus began. GLAAD launched a Let Ellen Out campaign, and DeGeneres dropped increasingly obvious hints, stumbling out of the closet, kissing Katie Lane on stage. Then on April 14th, 1997, she appeared on the cover of Time. Yep, I'm gay. But that's when the threats started. Bomb threats to the studio. Advertisers like JCPenney, Chrysler, and Wendy's pulled their ads. But celebrity guest stars, they all lined up. Oprah Winfrey, Laura Dern, Billy Bob Thornton, Demi Moore, Melissa Etheridge, Katie Lang. When the Puppy episode aired on April 30th, 1997, 42 million people watched. Ellen Morgan leaned into an airport PA microphone and said,
"I'm gay."
The studio audience erupted. Ellen DeGeneres' own mother, Betty, she appeared as an extra in the scene. Tears were running down her face. DeGeneres herself broke down during the rehearsals every time they ran it. It wasn't just acting, it was real life. And I knew it was real too because I felt it. I was in college and it was my second year of being out, and we were all gathered in this really small house at the Pride Club's watch party. And when Ellen said those words on network television, in prime time, and in a room full of people who knew exactly what it cost to say them, something shifted. For a lot of us, that was the first time we saw ourselves reflected back in a way that felt real. It wasn't a punchline and she wasn't a villain. She was just a person telling the truth. We all sat there watching it together, smiles across all of our faces. That episode won 2 Emmys and a Peabody Award. In Birmingham, Alabama, the local affiliate refused to air it. So activists, they rented a 5,000-seat theater and screened it themselves. GLAAD organized come out with Ellen house parties across the country. It was a moment. But that mass joy didn't last long. ABC renewed Ellen for a 5th season, but then slapped a parental advisory on every episode. DeGeneres was one of the first to call it out. The Drew Carey Show aired 2 men kissing with no disclaimer. Spin City did the same. There weren't any warnings on them, because performative queerness was fine, but real queerness, that needed a warning label. Then the ratings started to fall. Jerry Falwell started calling her Ellen Degenerate, but Ellen shot back. I've been getting that since the 4th grade, but the attacks kept coming. And in April 1998, ABC canceled the show. Ellen DeGeneres went from one of the biggest stars in comedy to essentially blacklisted. Laura Dern didn't work for a year and a half after playing Susan. And the door Ellen kicked open, it slammed shut behind her. And she paid for it. Years of not being able to work, years of depression, years in the wilderness alone. And I will always be grateful to her for what she did. She kicked a door open that a lot of us got to just walk through. But here's where it gets complicated, because this story doesn't end with a hero necessarily. A huge thank you to the members that you see on screen right now. Your support makes this all possible, and it helps me keep digging through archives and sharing the queer history that inspires us. If you'd like to join them, there's a link up above and in the description down below. And if membership isn't in your budget right now, no worries. Subscribing and hitting the bell helps more than you know. Most of all, thank you for being here. In 2003, Ellen was back, and she launched her daytime talk show, and she built an empire in one phrase: be kind to one another. She won 64 daytime Emmys with that show. 64! She hosted the Oscars that were so funny, and in 2016, President Obama gave her the Presidential Medal of Freedom. She became America's favorite lesbian, or the fun aunt who danced and gave away prizes. But then in 2020, story after story started coming out. Former employees described a culture of fear, racism, and intimidation. People were fired for taking medical leave. So yeah, the woman who told America to be kind had allegedly fostered a workplace where people were afraid, unheard, and disposable. And I remember during this time being torn, thinking, how do I hold both of these things? The woman who changed my life for the better, and yet she was the same woman who made other people's lives miserable. It took time, and I'm still working on this, but I personally think that we hold both of these things, because we're not our single best moment, and we are not our single worst moment. I've never liked cancel culture. I think it has done some really awful things for our culture, our society. And wrongdoings are not inexcusable when you've done great things. And I also hope that we live in a world where people can find and are allowed redemption and growth. And when you have power, and when people are looking up to you, and when your entire brand is built on kindness, you have a lot of responsibility. And when you go against that, or you cause harm, you have to own up to it. You have to really own it, and not the glitzy, rebranded PR version, but the real, genuine thing. In 2024, Ellen had a Netflix special that came out, and I thought, okay, here is the moment. She's a comedian, she's gonna use comedy, she's gonna be honest, she's gonna be vulnerable, and she's gonna make things right. And as I sat in my living room and I watched it, and I waited, and I waited, and she didn't do it. She made it about her experience of being pushed out. She framed herself as the person who got hurt. And yes, I get it. Yes, it was painful, but that's not accountability. That's putting the burden on everyone else to move on without ever hearing you say, here's what I did, here's who I hurt, and here's what I've done to make it right. Owning the pain you've caused, really owning it, taking responsibility and showing you've done the work to make it better. And I personally know what it's like when someone you love doesn't fess up or take responsibility. Someone that I looked up to someone who's also caused a lot of harm to the people in my family. And when I went looking for accountability, all I got was, ask me what you want to know and I'll tell you. And if you've ever heard that, you know exactly what it is. It's a door that looks open, but it's actually locked. It puts the burden on you to pull the truth out of someone who should be offering it freely. And I just couldn't accept it. So that relationship ended. So here's what I want to say. We can be grateful for the doors that people kicked open for us, and we can also hold them to a higher standard. We can honor the puppy episode and everything that it meant, and we can say, you owed your staff better. You owed your audience better than that one special. Both things can be true. And the ability to hold both, that's not a betrayal, that's love. And that's what a real relationship looks like. We celebrate you at your best and we hold you accountable at your worst because we believe you are capable of more. So, Ellen, if you are watching, which you're probably not, but I am so thankful for all that you did. You changed my life, and you really did. You were brave and bold, and the world is better for all that you did. And I still think you have the talent and the platform to do the thing you have not done yet. Name the crap that happened. Do the work. It may feel awful, but the people who love you the most, we're still waiting. Your turn. Drop a comment and tell me what the puppy episode meant to you, or how you hold gratitude and accountability for people at the same time. You can also check out the video popping up right over here for more queer history. And you can also join us on the Circle platform where we keep the conversation going. We share history, we ask questions, and we build connection. The link is up above and down below in the description. Until next time, stay strong, stay bold, and keep making history.